What if England could only select their Ashes squad from players who play for northern counties? My name's Liam. I'm a cricket fan who makes cricket content for the fellow cricket fan. If you do like this video, please do hit subscribe. For clarification, these are the counties that I am talking about. We're talking about Lancashire, Durham, and Yorkshire. So 3 counties, and we have to try and build an Ashes squad from those counties. The rules are simple. You can pick England players, so current England players, as long as they play for these counties, can feature in that side. But we're also trying to build a proper squad. So we're not just filling our squad with the best players. We're trying to have balance to this team. Let me know yours in the comments, and let's begin. All right, let's start at the top with our opening batsman. This was a tough choice, actually, because northern counties seem pretty flush with openers. 3 people that miss out that probably could deservedly be in this squad. Luke Wells and Keaton Jennings of Lancashire both had very, very good seasons. We've seen Keaton Jennings in an England shirt before. I don't think he was actually that bad in an England shirt, if I'm being completely honest, compared to some of the other people we have seen. But he doesn't make this squad this time round, despite having a very good season. And the other one is Adam Live, for a similar reason to Keaton Jennings, in that we've seen him in an England shirt before. He really didn't look cut out for test level. I think he averaged around about 20. He's obviously in the latter stages of his career now. I don't see us going back to him as an option for an Ashes test, albeit he's had a wonderful season, over 1,000 runs scored, and he's averaged 51. But the 2 that get my opening spot, it's a Durham double. But which Durham double, I hear you ask, because Durham have really 3 very talented opening batsmen. Firstly, I'm going for Emilio. He's going to Australia anyway. He's on the Lions tour. He's an amazing season, 954 runs. He's averaged 45. I really like him as a batsman. I don't know if there's actually scope in the future for him getting in this England setup. I feel like a lot of people have got to come in first and fail for Emilio to get a shout. But I like how he plays. I think he could potentially do it at test level, and coming off the back of a really good season, he gets that spot. Alongside him is his Durham counterpart, and it's Ben McKinney that I've gone for. Could have very easily gone for Alex Lees, who had another brilliant season, 950 runs at 41 for Alex Lees. A bit similar to Keaton Jennings and Adam Live, in that we've seen Alex Lees already in an England shirt. Didn't do anything to convince me that he could survive at test level. I think he averaged about 22. Didn't look terrible. There was moments where, he kind of looked good. And I know he has evolved somewhat as a cricketer in recent years. But for me, just still not strong enough to be an opening batsman in the Ashes. Now, Ben McKinney, do I have faith in him going to the Ashes and scoring runs? No, not yet. But I do think Ben McKinney has a pretty high ceiling. I think he's the guy that England actually see as the next cab off the rank to replace Zach Crawley, whoever it might be. So we'll give him a go in this hypothetical squad. Go well, Ben. And at number 3, I'm going for someone that I've been banging the drum about for a long, long time. I'm kind of baffled that this guy has never gotten a go in an England shirt. But that person, of course, is Josh Bohannon of Lancashire. Bohannon has been consistent in county championship for a long, long time now, and he is kind of one of those head scratchers where a lot of county fans go, why hasn't he ever got an opportunity in the England side? Now, number 3 has been the position that England have traditionally struggled with pretty much since Jonathan Trott has retired. We've not really replaced him. We've tried a few different people. Pope's probably the closest we've actually got to getting a sound one, but it's looking like he's probably going to get replaced in the Ashes by Jacob Bethell. Jacob Bethell could be the guy. I still don't think Jacob Bethel's a number 3. I think he'll play for England for a long, long time, but I still think he's a middle-order batsman. So it makes it all so much weirder that Josh Bohannon never got a look in. He has a bit of a questionable technique, I think is what some Lancashire fans would probably say. He looks a bit scratchy at times, but there's no doubt he's a run scorer. And this year he scored 874 runs at 36. Not his best season but by any stretch of the imagination, but good enough to get our number 3 spot. Number 4, 5 and 6 kind of pick themselves because it's the 4, 5 and 6 that is probably going to play in Australia in that first test in November. Number 4 is Joe Root of Yorkshire. In my opinion, the greatest test player England have ever produced. Right now, for me, the greatest cricketer on the planet. I'm going to be bold and say that. He's going at 4. Harry Brook is at number 5, a fellow Yorkshireman. And at number 6, and captaining our hypothetical side, just like he's captaining the England side, is, of course, Ben Stokes. Now, this is the challenging one. Number 7 spot is our wicketkeeper. There are 2, in my opinion, there are 2 options from these counties. One we have seen lots of times for England before. One we haven't, but we maybe should have. And those 2 options are Johnny Bairstow and Ollie Robinson. This year, Johnny Bairstow has scored 735 runs at 45. Ollie Robinson has done pretty poorly by his standards, 594 runs, averaging 28. He normally averages sort of high 30s, so it's been a poor season for Ollie, but he's no doubt has a lot of ability. Now, it's weird. For everything I've said about Adam Live, Keaton Jennings, Alex Lees, the Johnny Bairstow argument doesn't exist because he has had a very successful Test career. We know he can score runs against Australia. We know he can score runs at Test level. Do we want to bring him back into the side now, or do we want to take a punt on someone who maybe hasn't had the opportunities that he deserves, albeit off the back of a bad season? I'm going to go Ollie Robinson, and I know not everyone will love that, but the reason why, looking at this team that we have as well, at the start I mentioned about we're trying to build a team and a squad that has balance. If we put Johnny Bairstow at 7, I'd argue that doesn't have a huge amount of balance. Ollie Robinson is a more natural number 6/7 batter. Really, Johnny Bairstow should be batting in the top 5 or probably at 5. So I'm going to go Ollie Robinson, but I'm going to take Johnny Bairstow to be one of my reserve options. He can come in as a spare batsman or the spare wicketkeeper if we need him. So Ollie Robinson, somehow with his average of 28 this year, is getting my faith, and he's going to go to the Ashes as our wicketkeeper. Okay, moving into our bowling options. At number 8, I'm going for someone else who is familiar to the England side. He is going anyway to the Ashes. That is Bryden Carse of Durham. I like Carse. There's something in him that, I don't think he's a world beater, but I like his attitude. He kind of has that Stuart Broad thing in him where he can get on a bit of a spell and just turn a session around. That's a skill. Not a lot of cricketers have that. So, although he doesn't do it as often or as effectively as Stuart Broad, he can still do that. We saw it in the India series, and I think he is a weapon for England and someone I think it's worth investing in him for the next few years. So he gets our number 8 spot. At number 9, this is probably a weak number 9 from a batting point of view, but I am going to go Matty Potts, who is also going to the Ashes anyway, of Durham. 29 wickets this year for Potts at 42, so actually not a great season for Matt Potts. To average 42 is quite unheard of for him. But we know there's ability there for Potts. We know he can do it at Test level as well. I feel like Potts was actually kind of a bit unfairly treated by England, where he's kind of bombed out for a few seasons. I don't get at all why he didn't play in that India series. I don't get why we were picking people like Jamie Overton over Matt Potts. Different types of bowlers, I know, but Matt Potts for me has so much more skill. Looking forward to seeing him in the Ashes because, he's got Steve Smith out a lot of times in his career, and anyone that can get Steve Smith out, it's worth going to the Ashes because he's such a hard guy to get out. So he gets our number 9 spot. Number 10 is going to be our spinner. This was difficult for the Northern Counties. They might be flush with opening batsmen, but they're less flush with spin bowlers, which kind of speaks to England in general, I guess, at the moment, doesn't it? I'm going to go with Tom Hartley, who we have seen in an England shirt before. Didn't do too badly. I think actually I'd rather we'd invested in him and sort of, made him the project opposed to Shoaib Bashir being the project. But alas, that's not how it played out. So Tom Hartley comes in of Lancashire. He's going to go number 10. 30 wickets for Tom this year at an average of 35. Not outstanding, but actually I think any time you're averaging in the 30s as a spin bowler in England is pretty impressive. In terms of our backup spin bowler, because we do need to take one, can't believe I'm saying it, but we're going to potentially see Dom Bess back in an England shirt. He's the only person really that I can see that can remotely get in this Test side as a spin option. 26 wickets for Dom at 40 as an average. It's nothing to scream home about, but has some Test experience, brings a little bit of batting as well, so he'll do as our backup option. And finally, at number 11, last but no means least, is our pace option, Mark Wood of Durham, who I'm hoping is actually fit for the Ashes anyway. He's obviously on the plane. If we can get 5 games out of him, it will be a miracle. But even if we can get 3, I think that will massively help England's chances. But yeah, nailed on. For me, he's the best bowler of any of these counties. And, obviously we need that express pace being in Australia. And actually, if we look at that kind of bowling line that we have, we're probably a pace bowler light in a sense. I mean, Matthew Potts bowls mid-80s at best. Bryden Carse can sometimes push 90s, I guess, but we're pretty much relying on Stokes and Mark Wood to be our pure pace options in this bowling attack. Let's fill in the other positions. I'm going to go for, I need to have another seam option in there in case Mark Wood or when Mark Wood inevitably gets injured. So I'm going to go Ben Rain here. I like Ben Rain. He has taken 44 wickets this year at 27. So actually, when we look at those sort of bowling figures, one of the most impressive sets of bowling figures out of this entire squad. My only thing with Ben Rain, he's been around for a long time now. The selectors haven't really given him the opportunity. I don't know how well his bowling would translate into Test cricket. We probably never know the answer to that question. But he's a solid option in our reserves. brings a little bit of batting as well. So I like him as a reserve pick, and he can come in to cover pretty much any of those bowlers in there. And I'm talking about Mark Wood getting injured. We do, of course, have Ben Stokes sat at number 6. So we do need to have an all-round option that can replace Ben Stokes if he breaks down. You can't really replace Ben Stokes. There's very few people in county cricket that can bring the same level of batting and bowling. But looking at all of these counties, I thought about George Balderson for a second at Lancashire. I do like Balderson, but he's a good player. But ultimately, I've gone with a person who's had the better season this year, which might be a bit of a rogue shout, but I've gone with George Hill of Yorkshire. He's had a really good season, all-round player. He took 51 wickets this year at 16 as an average. So for me, for form alone, he gets in as this reserve all-rounder spot. So there we go. That is our Northern-only Ashes squad. I'm relatively happy with it. I think, we've got a pretty solid batting lineup. There's runs at the top of the order, absolutely. Josh Bohannon, how would he go in a test setup? We don't know, but he certainly deserves the opportunity. And then we have, I think what makes his team is that core, which is Joe Root, Harry Brook, and Ben Stokes. Ollie Robinson as a keeper, we know has potential to play at test level. If it doesn't work for Robinson, I'm confident that we've got Bairstow waiting in the wings who can come in the second test if need be. And the bowling attack is probably a little bit weak, bar Mark Wood, which is concerning when you think 2 of those guys are actually going to the Ashes anyway. Tom Hartley, how would he do in Australia? We'll see, but I think he'd do better than Bashir anyway. What concerns me most is there's not many good options in the reserves that we can bring in to rotate that bowling attack. But on the whole, we'd lose 5-0, but it's not too bad. Now let me know your starting 11 or your whole squad if you want to in the comments below, and please do hit subscribe if you like this video. I am going to do the same type of video for central counties and southern counties as well before we get into the Ashes in November. So if you want to make sure you don't miss those videos, then hit subscribe. Thank you so much.